I thought since I'm sitting down, I would actually record a video like this, so yay! But today we're going to be talking about the future of Power Rangers. Now, there's only two things that I see that are actually future worthy, which I'll talk about in a minute, but a proper future at the moment, we have no idea what is going on. The only things we've got right now are the comics and a video game that's coming out, but that's it. But to me, that is not enough. Like, for a brand that has always been there to at least have like a year to produce content, I feel it's just so weird. And as we move into 2025, I have no idea what's happening. Now, I think at the moment, the main future is going to be the comic books. Let's just be real. You have comic books which are slowly doing things which slowly work out really, really well. They seem to be getting it just right. Look at how Power Rangers Prime is doing, and then whatever other comic book is doing. When Power Rangers Prime was announced, we had images of Lauren on the run. And rather than going back to, like, say, a weekly basis thing where it could just be like the TV show, we actually generally had something really decent and a whole universe built for the comics. And that's what I generally really like. Yeah, we're getting a more mature tone, which I absolutely think is fantastic. And that's what we've wanted for a long time. But it doesn't step into the realm of, oh, that's way too mature. Apparently, issue 1 did really well. It went into second printing. But again, for me, I'm not going to jump straight into this. I kind of want to figure out, is it worth going into, or is it worth kind of collecting? I don't want to be burnt like I have done with some of the other comic books. So yeah, I generally think right now, Prime will probably do something amazing. Now, I've been collecting since issue 0 of Power Rangers. There have been some good series, there have been some bad series within the comic book, but I just don't want to be burnt out of buying loads. So I'm probably just going to either just buy like just the single issue and maybe a variant. I'm like, oh man, that's really, really cool. The reason why I'm making this video is something that caught my eye a while ago, and that was the VR Troopers coming to Power Rangers. And this pretty much inspired me to think about this entire video, how far we're going. And now we're actually introducing other properties from Saban that when Hasbro bought it, boom, they're able to put in. We've now just seen VR Troopers. Who the hell thought VR Troopers would finish the year of being introduced to the comic books when we've had hardly anything since the 90s? Yeah, damn, like, it's been such a while. The fact is that I love that we're progressing so much and that this is something a little bit different, and that's what I wholeheartedly love. VR Troopers, got Lauren on the run. It's absolutely fantastic, and seeing that kind of shocked me. I wish I hadn't seen it on Twitter, but everyone posts it straight away. But just seeing that sort of thing, and now knowing that we are getting a free comic book talking about it, I think it's absolutely fantastic. That's something that I really, really want to see. And I hope that, I hope it's not a thing where it's like, what, 12 issues or 6 issues and then we'll never see them again. I would kind of like seeing an ongoing thing if the story is great. You know, kind of like put out a tester. Yeah, maybe do a few issues, see what people like, and then bam, run into a proper season. A proper one that could last maybe 50 issues or something. As long as the story's good, I'm all for it. I would actually probably read it. Even if you did like Masked Rider, Mystic Knights of the Tianan Oak, if you did those sorts of ones and the thing was absolutely a banger, I think I'd be on board for it a lot more. Start building up the Hasbro universe, or, you know, build up the Rangerverse. We've had all these building blocks for a long time, since the 90s, and now it just feels like they're putting them into place. Like, they've basically made them, gone like, we've got to put them outside to dry. They've gone, oh crap, we've completely forgotten about those blocks. Oh my god, they're so completely baked. It's absolutely fine. They're solid. So now it feels like we're getting something what the fans want, and maybe it could be a thing where it's like, well, yeah, we've not had anything, so this is the only thing. These are our crumbs that we're getting. Now, basically, again, like, we have a variant in issue 2 where it's like the VR Troopers want you, and I like this. It just feels like it's new even though it's not. Wasn't a big fan of the series, but I'll give the comic books a go and see what it's like. I think it's kind of cool. I just generally think at the time when VR Troopers came out, it probably wasn't a great move because Power Rangers was dominating the area. So yeah, I'm really excited for the comic book. It just feels at the moment that the comic books are going forward. They're the ones that are making waves when it comes to Power Ranger content. I do think that if we got this separate, then again, it's not going to be a weekly thing. It'll be a monthly thing at least, which is, again, like a shame. Like, I would like more, but obviously with the way that comic books are, it's going to take at least a month to get at least one issue out. So I'm kind of okay that I could like pace myself and review it and talk about it. Takes a while to review these things, but effectively, you know, we're getting content. It's just a lot slower. We're being drip fed this effectively. I think that if you're going to move everything from Power Rangers into the comic books, then that's literally going to be everything. You know, you've got Boom that could handle the storylines, and Boom are doing absolutely fantastic. I don't want them to lose the Power Ranger license because I generally like what they've been doing for such a long time. I think with the comic books, you can generally tell stories that may not have made it into like the Power Ranger universe or couldn't be done because, you know, due to restrictions or whatnot. But I feel like the comic books, at least you have something, and it kind of gives everyone I need this, like I can't wait for this to happen. I need this, I need that. So yeah, I'm kind of okay with the comic books taking over the franchise for a little bit until Hasbro pull their finger out and go, hey, what are we doing with this? Oh, we can do that now. Now, if you asked me a few years ago, I generally would have laughed and gone, no, like they're not going to put everything in the comics. The comics are not the way to save this franchise. I generally now think maybe putting stuff into the comics might actually save the franchise because the comics have been established for a long time and people are generally liking them. I generally don't know why they've not made stuff for like Beetleborgs, Masked Rider, Mystic Knights of Tir na nog. To be fair, I think I would like to see Mystic Knights of Tir na nog in the future rather than the past because that would just bore the piss out of me. So I generally don't want that. But as I probably mentioned before, the one thing I'm really generally liking is the fact that the issues aren't going back to like weekly things that we see. Like they actually have a story arc. It's not like Wild Force be like, oh, look at this bad guy that we're doing. That's, you know, never made it into the series, but now we've got to try and beat it. And there's no thing. It's like, oh, start to finish, like a Power Rangers episode. I feel like the comics have more depth, more story. I mean, I would never have thought Samurai would have made a comeback. I generally didn't think that you'd have them against the Eltarians and then Lauren's on the run. I never would have thought that, but I generally really like it. And it's something a little bit darker, something that I'm kind of really into. But yeah, it just feels like this is something really cool that we're getting. And I love the fact that the comics are going there that the TV series never would. Now, again, I've said like I was surprised when seeing VR Troopers. I generally thought that they would have gone for Masked Rider, but maybe this is a way to say, hey, we want to try something a little bit different. And I'm all on board for that. Now, I've written down some predictions that I'm going to do. And it says, number one, I think the VR Troopers are going to be like a military thing, and that's going to be a major thing going forward. We might see them fight the Rangers at some point. That would be cool. I generally really like this because while thinking about it, you know, maybe it's a part of where, like, I don't know, Area 62 or maybe a branch of the government that we have seen in, like, say, Power Rangers Zeo, that kind of like small mini movie that they had, where the military want powers like the Rangers. You know, they don't have access to the morphing grid, they can't go anywhere, so the military have actually made their own style of the VR Troopers, hence why you'd see the VR Troopers want you. So they all get powers, we have multiple different versions, and maybe that's the point where they get out of control as a small unit goes out or something and attacks the Rangers, but they think they're in the right. I generally think that would be kind of cool. So my second point was, we're going to see at some point all the brands come together and fight a big name off, like a big world-ending event, which I think would be absolutely cool. Imagine that you could see Mystic Knights, if they're in the future, Beetleborgs, Masked Rider, and VR Troopers, and the Power Rangers all coming together to fight off a big bad guy that will end the world or something. And I would absolutely love to see that because it would be a first. Could you imagine that massive fight scene? Oh, I really wish they turned it into a series, but I would absolutely love that. I think it would be one of the best things out there, which again would actually make me buy the entire series because I would review the shit out of it. But I think it'd be kind of really cool. Number three is basically the VR Troopers will become what the Eltarian soldiers are going to be. Maybe they're the ones that go around, martial law is declared, they're like beating up on citizens because they can. I think that'd be kind of cool. I need to read the first one again properly. I think at some point I would love to have a discussion with Deoxy360 about how the comics are, what they've done. You know, are they going to go even further and beyond? I think that would be kind of cool. So let me know down below if you think that we should have a discussion. I'm going to ask him anyway, but I want the comments. Comment down below. But anyway, I am going to leave there. What are your thoughts on this? Like, do you want to see more of the properties come along, like Masked Rider, Bad Beetleborgs, other ones that they've kind of introduced? What would you like to see the comics do that we've not had so far? Let me know down below in the comments. Lock it in. Let's have a discussion. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Lock in your answer. And with that, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimono Cat. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。